So does your job offer you 3 months paid vacation? Next on the Metal Pulpit. Hey, thanks for joining me for another Metal Pulpit. Yeah, honest question. Does your job offer you 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of paid time off? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, let's talk about something that on the church side of life called sabbaticals. Okay, now this is a topic that I've blogged about, that I've talked about on Facebook before, and it's met with resistance from both sides of what people believe. Now, I've been a pastor for the best part of 20 some years now on staff at a church, and never once have I taken a sabbatical. In fact, I just heard about a pastor recently that I know of, we don't hang out, but that I know of, that's going to be taking a 3-month sabbatical from their church. Now, if you're not familiar with this terminology, a sabbatical is a paid time off to refocus and look at life again, and then have nothing to do with the employment and come back to it. Now, this is a predominant thing in churches. Pastors will ask for these, and sometimes the board says yes, sometimes the board says no. And in this case, it's a 3-month sabbatical. I've known one other pastor that took a 6-month sabbatical. And let me share some thoughts with you on this. People need time off. That's safe to say. When you get hired at a job, usually full-time, you get paid days off. And like next week, my wife and I and the kids, we're going to be down in Chicago for a week, just enjoying some time. She's going to be taking some paid time off. This will be my first vacation of the year. I usually take 2 weeks of paid vacation from the church each year. And I've been on staff here for 14 years, so I don't ask for any more and I don't take any less. So, but sabbaticals are interesting because if you're working in a factory job, or you're working in a showroom, or whatever your vocation is, plumber, graphic design, anything, and you just start saying, oh, I'm starting to lose focus, I'm so busy, I'm so stressed out, I'm doing all these things, I need a 3-month, 4-month, 5-month sabbatical, your employer is going to do this. What? Okay, it's unheard of. And yet in the church world, it happens. Now, here's what I do believe, and this is a nutshell, in a nutshell of what I believe. Jesus, in his earthly ministry, displayed all. Well, let's go back even further. In Genesis, on the 7th day, he rested. We, you, all of us need rest. Oftentimes in Jesus's ministry, he would withdraw from the crowd, go away for a bit, and find some rest, and take some time off to renew and refresh. And oftentimes he was met with more people needing help, and he jumped in and helped out. You know, this is the life of someone working. This is the life of a pastor. I promise you next week I will get phone calls and emails from hurting people. I'm okay with that. But to say I need a sabbatical, this tells me a couple things. Number one close friend that I've had took a long sabbatical, and they were completely burned out, like on the brink of throwing it all in and just being done with it. So they went on this sabbatical. Some are just saying, hey, the board offered, I'm taking it, see ya, and we'll leave it up to the staff. You see, a sabbatical tells me that there's poor time management. A sabbatical tells me that a person is not able to manage their time very well. I've been on the brink of a lot of stress and even depression, but I dial it back and say, okay, so this week I'm going to lay low a bit. This next week I'm going to step it back up again. Next week I'll be going on a vacation. And it's all about managing your time and managing you. There's an old saying that says, you will find time for things you want to do. So if you value your marriage, if you value your kids, if you value your own personal well-being, you will manage that well and not worry about the big Easter cantata or the next Christmas concert or what big name speaker we're bringing in this next time. So, sabbaticals, do I agree with them? No. Quite honestly, as a pastor in a church, If I'm in this church and I'm pastoring it, or any church, and I bring up the word sabbatical, it's because other people in the church and their vocations get sabbaticals as well. If they do not, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel it's right to request those sort of things. It's like the pastor that makes way more money than the average income of the house, of an average household in his church. I don't think that's right. Don't think it's acceptable. Again, my opinion. All right, viewer question. So I got a message from Chris, and it says, "Hello, Pastor Bob 2.0." Okay. And says, "What are some creative things you or your church does to evangelize?" Thanks, Chris. Thanks for the question, Chris. I appreciate that. It's been a while since we've had a viewer question. We used to do bigger things. Back when I first started at this church, and we relaunched it, I thought the way to grow a church was with concerts. And I have a lot of connections, as I used to be a music buyer in the Christian music industry. So we had Violet Burning. You know, my goal was to reach out to the crowd that disenfranchised and everything. We still do, but different ways. But we had in the Violet Burning, we had in Mike Rowe 77s, we've had in The Crossing, we've had Glenn Kaiser. I had John Schlitt in a couple years ago from Petra. We advertised that one as Petra and Head East. And then we've had punk rock groups, The Grave Robber in. Oh man, who else did we have? We had a Southern Gospel person in, Jonathan Martin. I love Southern Gospel, but it was all right. It was good. He is a phenomenal talent, but didn't do anything. I've had Randy Stonehill in. Yeah, just on and on. And did we grow from him? No. Here's what we do now. We do a lot of just servant evangelism things. We'll just go in our community and pick up garbage. One of our favorite things we like to do is called the Business Blitz. We get the list from the Chamber of Commerce and put about 30 businesses up across the doorway and in an envelope. And each envelope has a thank you note from the church saying, "We appreciate you being in our community, providing a good business. This is our way of saying thank you to you." And we encourage families on their way out that Sunday to grab an envelope and make some home-baked goodies for that business and drop it off. And that has actually been our most successful one if you're talking people coming into the church. That has helped quite a bit. So, yeah, I don't do the big things anymore. Quite honestly, I'm easing up on the concerts a lot. I do enjoy having guest speakers in. I just recently had Rich Mullen's brother in, David. And we've had quite a few others in back after Ted Haggard had his scandal. We had him in as he was on the road to redemption, and he just shared openly about his story. And so yeah, we do enjoy speakers, but the band thing we don't do anymore. The big pizzazz rallies, we don't do those anymore. Christmas cantatas, Easter concerts, we don't do that. Here's the thing: churches that do that and they're successful, awesome. But if they can't endure it, then they shouldn't be doing it, because there's the old adage in business and in churches that simply says the way you win people into your place is the way that you're going to have to keep them. And some of these things just aren't sustainable. So thanks for the question. If you have a question, send it to me. Email it, pastorbobadams@gmail.com, and I will address them on this podcast. So you have a great week.